Welcome to Hassle-Free RE, the show where we share tips, tricks, and stories from the short-term rental industry and business alike. Hosted by Dave Menapace and Will Van Wickler. They'll help you navigate the exciting and ever-evolving world of short-term rentals. Whether you're a seasoned host or just starting out, they've got something just for you. In each episode, they'll bring you insider insights, expert advice, and real-life stories from hosts and industry professionals who have been through it all. They'll cover everything from maximizing your rental income and profits to creating unforgettable guest experiences and handling unexpected day-to-day challenges with ease. Are you ready to discover the secrets to running a successful short-term rental business without the hassle? Then let's get started. This is Hassle-Free RE.
Hello. Will, we got to fire our tech person.
It's bad, man. Puts me to sleep. Doesn't fire me up.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we're here to fire people up. My name is Dave Menapace, president of the 5-Star Co-host, as well as Launchpad Consulting. Here with my man, Mr. Will Van Wickler, New England's #1 short-term rental real estate agent. How you doing, Will? How's things going?
I'm doing great, other than that song, man. But no, things are good here in Maine. How are you?
Things are great. Things are great, man. We've started boutique hotel management that I'm super excited about, providing a quality 5-star experience both for hotel owners as well as hotel guests, taking a lot of what we've learned in the short-term rental space as relates to individual homes, bundling that up and creating this really amazing package for hotel owners to honestly skyrocket their revenue and streamline immensely their operations. And it's an exciting time. It really is. So things are firing on all cylinders, as they always are. So
that's incredible. You told me about that. Bam. I did not expect that.
Yeah. Well, for anyone wondering where I get these ideas, where I learn it, it comes from a mastermind, right? And we had a podcast a couple of weeks ago on masterminds, but the one specifically that I subscribe to and I also coach in is called Short-Term Rental Secrets. And in there, they have a couple products. One of them is Boutique Hotel Secrets. The other one is Short-Term Rental Secrets. And there's some bundled packages in there. But my process for learning hotel management was much shorter than learning short-term rental management, because I knew exactly where to go to get the education and what to focus on and spend time on, which was a little bit of it's a little bit of a mystery before I found some of those secrets years ago. So it's been cool. It's been a lot of learning the last couple of weeks.
I love it. Speaking about learning, we're going to talk about learning through failure today, and we got a good topic if you want to share it.
That's right. And real quick, just before we do, if you enjoy this podcast, support this podcast, listen to it regular, we'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review or subscribe to the show itself, whatever platform you're on: YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, whatever it is. It helps us get the word out and helps us get content to you. So with that, let's talk about our show. We're going to talk about team members, and the specific focus is really going to be around virtual team members, virtual assistants, but they can live anywhere in the world. But we're going to talk about building a team and leadership and how to package all of this together to create a really great service-based product that I think a lot of people in the industry are missing the mark on. And I, for one, definitely missed the mark on in the beginning until I learned how to do this right. And now I'd go into any battle with my team, and it's a fantastic experience.
So how many team members do you have today? What's the current org chart, if you will, organizational chart?
Yeah, so I'll talk both about management and consulting, because that's kind of between the two how I have the most team members. But in management, we have Jess, who's our vice president. The people that report directly to her are two what would be known as VAs, or virtual assistants. They're our client success team, and their names are Gene and Jegs. They actually came from Airbnb. They were managers in Airbnb, and we hired them directly out of Airbnb, and they work for us. Each of them works between 40, 50 hours a week. They live in the Philippines. Both of them extremely competent, extremely good at speaking English, extremely hospitable, and they know who to call at Airbnb when there's a challenge. They're not our only team members, though. I have a full-time social media and marketing expert. His name's Chris. I hired him through an agency called Stamp Staff. Stamp, like a postage stamp staff. And they've been amazing, like an amazing marketing partner. And they really help continue to give Chris education. That's his name, Chris Dobble. And he handles all my social media, all of our email marketing, all of our guest email marketing as well, because we have StayFi. He does our newsletters. He does all that sort of stuff. And when we're in a pinch, he also does the editing for the podcast if we have a last minute one to pump out.
He crushes it too. I mean, he'll be sending reels on Instagram. I'm like, this stuff is incredible. The newsletter I get, I'm like,
yeah,
it's amazing.
Well, he also understands how Google Business, YouTube, all the podcasts, your Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, like he understands how all of those are connected. So now if anyone goes on Google and just types in the 5-star co-host, which there's a lot of them around the country, you'll only see a full page of our website, our YouTube channel, our podcast. We take up the whole first page and a half, almost 2 pages on Google. So, so there's that. And then on the consulting side, we have a CEO in place. That's Chris Petsy. Jess, who's my VP in the management business, reports to Chris. She's our VP of operations and consulting. And then we have a guy named JR, who he's a virtual team member in the Philippines. He's actually married to one of the VAs on the management team. And anyways, he works for us about 40 to 50 hours a week as well. And the thing is, it's really interesting. I failed miserably at first when it came to hiring a team member, be it virtual or not, and having that be successful. And I'm more than happy to talk about some of those failures. And then a lot of the things that we changed over the last 2.5 years to provide what I think is one of the best services in this part of the country.
And I think most people fail when they start to hire people because they hire at a place of the building's on fire. I need help. And they're not willing to coach people, it seems like. So like in my sales business, selling 70, 80 homes a year, I have a great virtual assistant now, in-person transaction coordinator. However, I went through 2 virtual assistants in the beginning, just burning through them. Because I don't know about you, I was just really busy and I just needed help, but I wasn't willing to train or coach them. So is that your same experience or was it a little bit different?
What I'll always go back to is whatever you see in your outside world is a reflection of what's happening between the 2 years.
Yeah.
And if, just like you said, if it's a fire drill and you don't have a business, you just do a bunch of tasks, but you don't have any systems or operations or a vision for your business, something that can dictate right from wrong, yes from no, north from south, any real direction, then there's no way that anyone on your team can be successful. And that was a really hard lesson for me to learn in early 2022 when I really started needing support and help.
And I'll put a pin in that. That was like my coaching call today, my business coach, of the vision. Like people will gloss over what you just said of like, oh, vision, like, oh yeah, we manage houses. It's like, no. Like I believe, and I don't know about you, but I really believe you need to have a very clear vision, because how are people supposed to be bought in? They're just going to be employees.
Yeah. Vision and values too.
Exactly.
And those are also allowed to change. Like we've been running with the same vision and values for a few years now. Next Wednesday, Jess and I are meeting and we're redoing our mission, vision, and values because we've grown and we've matured as a company. And the thing now is we're actually pooling the team and we want everyone on our team who's been with us for years to have input on those. That's which incredible. Is really, really cool. So yeah, why don't we talk about another reason why some of these fail? So we kind of said like a chaotic state of mind. when going in, you just need help and support, but you haven't slowed it down to create an opportunity for someone to be successful to help you with the things you need help with. So that's one thing.
Yeah, you're just busy. A lot of people are busy in their management company or sales business, right?
Yeah. A lot of times we want to level up as a business owner, but we don't seek out the education to level up as a manager. What you start to realize is most people in like the corporate world are not managers. And even if you are, it doesn't mean that you're a good one. And if you are a good one, you're a good manager for a business that had systems for you to likely walk into.
Bingo.
When you're an entrepreneur, you think getting something off your plate is going to make you a good leader. You're dead wrong. Like it's just not the case, right? And so I had to spend years on specific self-growth. Like we did that podcast a week or two ago about the masterminds we were in, and I was in Vegas with the mindset mastermind. Like I had to level up as a thinker, as a thought leader, as a operations leader of everything until I could pass the torch to somebody who is better than me. But I did have to do the work to put in processes and set expectations and create KPIs and like a format for someone to be successful. But here's also the missing thing that I think a lot of people glance over. You need to be a human. You need to care. Today I found an opportunity to cover healthcare for all my team members that are in the Philippines. Super interesting. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't care. And that's super, super important to them, right? You have to slow it down and think about like, what are my team members' goals and how can I be a conduit to helping them achieve their goals and force them to have a goal outside of work? At the end of the day, everybody just wants to be heard, wants to have a place, wants to make an impact, wants to be loved, wants to have community. And yes, it's your job to provide that if you're going to hire somebody, be it in person or virtual. And I think so many people just look as hiring a quote unquote VA as almost like a human computer to just take tasks off their plate. And they just don't care. They don't care about the person that's behind the other side of the computer that's supposed to be their ride or die. And it's just been really, really interesting. And, I'm helping a few students right now work through this with non-virtual people, and they're really, really struggling. And every single time I go back to what's your state of mind? What's the conversations you've had? What's the expectations you're setting? And what are you doing to become a better leader?
Because people aren't born leaders, right? Like it's normal to fumble through it. I fumble through it every single day, but it's also, I think, being okay with that.
Yeah, well, like naturally we are followers, right? It's not normal to be a leader. And it was really interesting. What I had to constantly do was put myself in a room of leaders and then mimic those leaders. So, for example, I talk about short-term rental secrets all the time. I'd have to pause and think, how would Mike Sjogren handle this? He's the one that started short-term rental secrets. Okay, I think he would do this. I'm going to steal that idea and I'm going to use it. How would Chris Petsy use it? Chris Petsy founded Launchpad Consulting with me. He's the president of Seacoast to Summit Vacation Rentals down Portsmouth, New Hampshire. One of the best integrators I've ever met in my life. He's sturdy as an oak tree emotionally. I always have to think, when he's in the crosshairs of chaos, something happening in his business, how would he handle this as a leader? And again, so often we jump into this entrepreneurial world, even if, you have a job and you're working, and maybe you have 4 or 5 short-term rentals and you have a VA and it's sort of a side hustle. Leveling up as a leader is one of the most underrated growth activities I've ever seen. And it always ends in disaster. It always ends in disaster for everybody.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And I think the conversations change as the business evolves too. At least for me, it's like, hey, you got to focus on production, or hey, you need to go get clients first. And then you quickly realize it's less about the activity. It's more about what you're doing to actually lead people, lead yourself, create accountability. And you'll see that shift in the business. And I think that's what we're starting to see a lot of people. I saw it on Facebook this week, people asking for leverage and VAs. And it's interesting. The conversations change pretty quickly.
So want me to share, why don't I share a process that has never failed me for identifying what needs to be done and who can do it and how to service the team. The first thing that I always do is because a lot of people are like, I want all these tasks off my plate. What we teach in short-term rental secrets is this: slow it down and do a 2-week time study. Write down everything you've done in the last 2 weeks. Now, I just got done with one. I've done it like 10 times. The one I did.
I just had somebody shadow me for 2 days. So I'm right there with you. I just did one. Yeah.
So the reason I did it is I was feeling like my calendar was getting too booked, and I was curious to see, out of all the activities that I do, A, what should I be delegating out to my team still? And B, I was curious to see how many meetings wound up on my calendar with less than a 1-week lead time. Because if it had less than a 1-week lead time, it told me I didn't plan, or I prioritized it in, but wasn't. Like, essentially, the only thing I'll let have less than a 1-week lead time now is a sales call. Other than that, it should be a recurring meeting, or if it's networking, it can usually wait unless I have a cancellation and there's just an opportunity, or I'm really looking forward to it, right? So, but you do your 2-week time study and start to see on there, like, what activities am I doing in my day that take less than 3 to 5 steps to accomplish, that I could teach somebody else to do. Then create some SOPs around what those activities are. Now, I'm not somebody that likes going in screenshots and directions and all that jazz. Not my thing. I just use Loom. I do a video and I write that activity down and put a link to that video on the spreadsheet. Somebody later can go type directions. Not a big deal. That can be someone's job for all I care. Once I have like 4 or 5 things, or at least what I feel like would be enough work for somebody to come on, and I would never recommend doing a part-time VA. They will always have split focus, and you'll get, if you're only getting half their time, you only get half their focus. If you only have half their focus, you'll get half the quality. It's just, that's how it works. Wait until you can afford or want to invest in a full-time virtual assistant. You have then the activities for them to do. Next, there's a website called there's a personality test called 5 Voices. I love this personality test. It's kind of like Myers-Briggs. Take it. See what you are naturally inclined to want to focus on. For me, I'm considered a pioneer connector, meaning I'm a visionary. I'm an idea guy. I always have been, and I'm really good at connecting with people. I don't forget faces. I can talk to people all day long. I'm good at connecting people to other people to help them find solutions, which is a really good trait to have if you're in sales. Jess, for example, as well as my 2 VAs, are what we call guardians or nurturers. They are really good at protecting what they got to do and making sure it gets done. That's awesome for somebody like me, right? I'm not naturally inclined to think about insurance and legal and all these different steps. Kim, my wife, is, which is amazing. We work really well together in business. Jess is, because when Kim wanted to step out of the business, we needed somebody that had the same qualities and traits as Kim, from just like how they're naturally programmed. And our VAs, same exact thing. Whereas like my social media VA, he's a creative, go figure, right? Like he likes creating things. So figure out what your personality traits are. Then there's a whole bunch of different websites and sources that you can hire a VA from. So we're not going to get too much into that or promote anyone in particular, but have them take this personality test, because they could do a really great interview and maybe you still hire them for the job. It shouldn't be the only criteria. But if you need somebody to be an X's and O's guy or gal, and you just went and hired somebody who's a pioneer connector like me, Well, you're going to have two people doing the exact same thing. Like you're going to have things fall through the cracks. And that's what happened with my very first VA. It's like we were both pioneers. So no wonder why guests aren't getting responded to in a few minutes. She was thinking about something else. She was visualizing, visionary, right? So once you have your person and you hire them, you then have to be prepared to spend twice the amount of time doing what you were doing before, right? So you have all these videos of things you want them to do. You got to create a framework for like a morning check-in and an afternoon check-in so you can like be on the same page. You need to create your own company culture within that. A lot of people just kind of like, boom, set it and forget it. And it's like, somebody has to like you to want to work for you.
I gotta be bought into that vision. Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to like really spend time nurturing that relationship. This is your baby that you're handing over. So like spend time with it and in it. And then from there, you can start to layer on more responsibilities. Or like now, at the end of the day, we don't need to have a meeting with our team. There's a form that they fill out that gets sent to everybody. It says that they're signing off then, and it essentially goes over all the activity in a thoughtful, consistent way every single day. And we have something similar for when everyone logs on between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. And those are the two times of the day that I plug in real quick into the business and show my face, say hi, see how things are going. So these are like kind of what happens on a daily basis. And then at least once a week, we subscribe to the EOS traction. Once a week we have an L10. There's KPIs we cover, rocks, tasks, set expectations and intentions for the week, and we get on with the show. But it took me years to honestly create this process. And at the end of the day, who benefits? My clients, definitely my clients. The guests, definitely my guests, right? There's good, consistent clarity from everybody. And then the vendors benefit from it. They get paid faster. They're in the know quicker. Everybody has some sort of ownership and responsibility. But yeah, when you just sort of have like a yes man task person, it's just an appetite for disaster. And it always tracks back to not the employee, but it always tracks back to the leader every single time.
And I think it not only benefits the clients and the vendors, it benefits the team member. Because I don't know about you, I don't like just existing and just stuff getting thrown at me. I like structure. And people like structure, and they like to know if they're succeeding in their role, right? If you don't have KPIs, you're just kind of existing. You're a task rabbit. That's all you are.
You are. And I'm so happy you said that. And like, I'd love to challenge any listener that's really struggling with this right now. I challenge you to humble yourself, look at your outside world and do a reflection and think, how chaotic has my thinking and my actions been over the last 24, 48 hours, the last week, the last month? Because anyone that's pretty much out of breath, busy, just coming up from air all the time, how do you think your team members feel? They probably feel that same level of exhaustion, and it's because of you.
And ultimately, I feel like it's a personality trait of like, we all know somebody that's always busy and always stressed. If you do that time audit, which I like that you touched on, I mean, heck, you and I just did one separately. I didn't even know you were doing one. And it's like, whoa, there are things that I can improve on and just slow it down, because that energy is contagious, whether we like it or not.
Totally. And the thing is, it makes it so the interactions that you have with people are more impactful when they're more focused and more intentional.
Well, let me put you in the hot seat as we kind of wrap up. What was one thing that you noticed from your time audit that you were like, whoa, I didn't realize that?
I let, there's so much that I learned actually. The biggest thing was that, all right, I'm gonna nerd out a little bit. About 10% of my week, meaning 40 hours or 4 hours of the 40, were consistent recurring meetings. It might have been more like 12%. And that was good. That was cool. That was totally fine. About 20% of meetings were made at least 1 to 2 or more weeks in advance, meaning that they were planned, there was an agenda, there was a good solid reason we were having them. About 40-ish% of my time were meetings made with less than 1 week lead time. And then the rest of the time was like, deep work time, personal time, workout, stuff like that. This is within like your typical 9 to 5, 8:30 to 5. And what I've been trying to do is reduce the number of meetings that are made with less than 1 week lead time, unless they're a sales call or something that I perceive to be a crisis, which is super rare, and I've been able to really leverage tools, technology, and my team to get people information quicker and save time on my calendar. Because I will say, between the management company, the consulting company, I have a very select few one-on-one mindset coaching students. I coach for STR Secrets a few hours a week. I'm a real estate agent. I've started authoring again. We've more of in the newspaper, like this monthly big call, like big page taken out. So we have the podcast. There's ways that people are wanting to get in and kind of understand and network and all sorts of stuff. And I just had to get really realistic with like, what are my priorities for this week? And does this meeting that somebody wants to have with me, does it align with what my priorities are? And those priorities are always in alignment with my values. And we won't go into like all those things, but like, I needed some better barometer of saying yes and no to stuff, or yes, but later. And so now, if something is like, I don't perceive it to be a super high priority thing, but it's interesting to me, I'll likely ask for their calendar link instead of giving them mine, and I'll schedule it 2, 3, 4 weeks out. And it's not that I don't care about their thing. It's just that pocket of time that I'm allowing for those kinds of meetings is a bit smaller, because I want to serve what I already have on my plate to do it the best of my ability.
Mic drop.
Did I nail it? Now, what did you learn?
So I did one 3 months ago, and then I just revisited again. And my observation from the one 3 months ago was the time suck of like social media and everything, where I deleted social media off my phone. And I was like, see ya. Because I just found like, yeah, it is work, and I lead generate for that. But it was taking my focus away, because agents are reaching out and people want this. So I took that out. And then what was interesting is revisiting my latest time audit. I was much more focused on my top 20%, but it was actually getting in alignment again with my goals of, hey, does this actually move me forward? So the observation for me was like, I need to get back to lead generation in the morning, because that's the only thing that moves the business forward. I was getting bogged down with incoming calls before 11 o'clock. So very interesting, like time study, and especially hours in the day of like, now I really am in protection of any time before 11 o'clock, because that's my energy time. That's my power hour. After that, brain starts to become mush, less effective. So I thought it was interesting doing one 3 months ago and making that change, and then seeing, there's still some stuff we got to work on, but definitely focusing on that top 20% right in the morning.
Yeah, the time studies, like, they're not fun to do. They're not sexy, but if you approach it with an open mind and just view it as like an important piece of your business and business growth, you'll be really happy that you do it.
And if you can pay somebody to shadow you, my coach had me do that this time. I'm like, that was way more interesting, where maybe it's an intern, maybe it's a high school student, but you're not there talking to them. They are literally there like, hey, what are you doing right now? Every 15 minutes. And they got to hand that in to your accountability partner, handed it into my coach that I pay every month, thousands of dollars. And we went over that. That's a humbling experience.
Cool. I think that's so cool. Good. I'm proud of you, man. It's so hard to slow things down to do that, and the thing is, if you have someone observing you, there's no escaping, there's no fudging those numbers. There really isn't.
2 days. You can fake it for like 2 hours, but not 2 days.
Yeah. One thing that was really nice about this time around is there was much more space in there for just like exercise, personal time, mindset reading, things like that. That was something that in prior years, I really, really struggled to fit in. And I've finally really made the decision a while ago to prioritize that stuff and adjusted my schedule to accommodate it. And like the world has opened up. Like I just show up better for everybody. And I had to learn, I learned from this last one that I couldn't let somebody else's priority of wanting to talk to me or meet with me, like I couldn't let somebody else's priority impact how I prioritize stuff. And I did that a lot. I did some reflection and realized I sort of had this like underlying fear of criticism and judgment, like because I'm definitely a people pleaser, recovering one anyways. But it was interesting how I let that drive what my calendar looked like, and at the end of the day, like everyone paid that price, not just me, and so this time there was so much more time for the family, for health, for working out. The meetings I had, I gave it 150%. The people that I was coaching, 150%. The owners that I'm meeting with, 150%. And it was just super cool seeing that change. And the thing is, like, I'm very, very, very stable as a leader. I have been for a few years. And people are, like you said, people are always looking for stability, and your employees are always looking for stability. And if you can bring that to the table, it's going to transmute into happier guests and happier clients if you have a business or whatever it is you do.
And clients are attracted to stability. Like I'll just throw that out there at the end. Like I would not want to work with a real estate agent who's on a roller coaster ride of emotion. Like I see cooperating agents, they get all hyped up, and then that's not attractive to clients. And maybe we all start that way, but you really got to grow into, hey, it's all right. Everything's going to be okay. And just not letting other people's energy affect, your state, really.
Totally. Well, my man, that's probably a good one to end on there. If somebody wants to buy or sell across New England, how do they find you?
Hit me up, willvanwickler.com. The selling season's here. We are awfully productive, is what I'll say, and in demand right now. So reach out. We'll help you out and get you connected. And if somebody wants to go out, if they have a hotel to manage, if they want coaching, I mean, anything under the sun, public speaking, how do we hit you up, man? Making moves.
Well, that making moves, you can go to davemenapace.com is like a great way to see what I'm all about, all that I do. You can even link our podcast from right there. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. Instagram's just Dave_Menapace. Facebook, Dave Menapace. Just shoot me a message. My email is dave@davemenapace.com. It's kind of all over the place. So Google me, find me, shoot me a DM, and let's figure out how I can help you.
And you can see all of Chris's work on there too.
That's right. All over Google now. I love it.
I love it, man. Hey, good to see you. And we'll catch everybody next week.
Great seeing you, my friend. I'll see you next week.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Hassle-Free RE. We hope you found today's tips and stories as inspiring and useful as I did. Remember, success in the short-term rental industry is all about learning, adapting, and staying one step ahead. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to leave us a review or comment on your favorite platform. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners like you. Plus, we'd love to hear your thoughts and any topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and follow us at Hassle-Free RE on social media for more tips and updates. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep it hassle-free.